Welcome back to News Talk. 16 before the hour now. If you live in or drive around Northern Virginia, you're seeing the signs and you're getting the mail. A big election is coming up in just 4 weeks' time. The results will go a long way toward determining what sort of success Governor Terry McAuliffe can expect in his final years in office. Our man on Virginia politics, WAMU 88.5 reporter Michael Pope joins us now. Welcome back. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Everyone's up. I mean, this is an off-year election. So for many people listening to us now, 2015. It's an odd number. It might seem like an odd time for an election, but really there's a lot at stake in early November.
It's what they call an off-year election, right? It's not just an off-year election, it's an off-year election. The Christopher Newport University recently did a poll to gauge how, if people were looking at the election, if they were following the news, and perhaps unsurprisingly, about 2/3 of the respondents said they weren't following the news. They didn't really know anything about the election. So, I mean, we're kind of facing an election cycle here where, you know, what if they hold an election and nobody shows up to vote? I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. However,
the stakes couldn't be higher.
That's what I was about to say. As you set that up perfectly, which is the stakes couldn't be higher. Literally every seat in the General Assembly is up for election. All of the House, which happens every 2 years, plus every seat in the Senate, which, you know, doesn't happen every 2 years. They're in a longer cycle. So control of the state Senate is at stake here. Because it's so tightly matched between the Republicans and the Democrats.
And as most people know, Republicans own the House of Delegates, but the Senate is razor thin. It tacks one way, it tacks the other. And we can expect, and we're already seeing, big money get pumped into these races, even though the victor won't actually make that much himself or herself. Huge sums are being pumped in, and we can expect some big names to be on the campaign trail, hoping to sway the outcome.
Absolutely. I mean, although voters might not be paying close attention to it, people that fund the campaign certainly are paying lots of attention. And, you know, I think that we are going to see several state Senate campaigns pass the $1 million threshold here. I mean, if you look at the Chuck Colgan seat, you've got Republican Hal Parrish has already raised more than $600,000. And so I would imagine by the time we get to November, the Hal Parrish campaign might, you know, be hitting the $1 million mark.
You mentioned the Senate. Let's go with the Senate, and I have my cheat sheet here because you and I talked about this the other day. There are 3 big races in Northern Virginia. One is open because of the retirement of a long-serving elected official, and the other 2 involve incumbents who seemingly have a potent challenger looking to take them on.
Yeah, the 3 races I'm watching in Northern Virginia is this open seat created by the retirement of longtime Senator Chuck Colgan. That opens up an extremely competitive race between Hal Parrish, who has deep family background and ability to raise money. Like I said, he's already raised about $600,000. Against Jeremy McPike. He ran for a House seat unsuccessfully 2 years ago. He emerged from a very hotly contested primary back in June. And so this will really be a test for McPike and for the Democrats about whether or not he can take on Hal Parrish and all the money associated with Hal Parrish.
And the Democrats' favorite Republican, Dick Black, is up for re-election?
Dick Black is quite a character, isn't he? He is a longtime state senator, a very colorful character. He's one of these people that really believes in these social issues, like abortion. So his opponent in the race is a doctor, Dr. Jill McCabe, and who is a pediatric ER doctor, and he has been attacking her on this Planned Parenthood issue and, you know, her support of abortion. I think we're going to see social issues play out in that particular race quite significantly.
And the other one where you have an incumbent facing a challenger is incumbent state senator George Barker in the 39th district with being challenged by Republican Joe Murray. There are 4 House districts that are interesting, and 3 of them are triggered by the retirement of the incumbent. So you've got in 86, 87, 2, and 34 some interesting races where folks are battling for an open seat.
Yeah, so the retirement of Tom Rust has created an open seat. You've got Jennifer Boyskos, the Democrat. She used to work for John Faust in the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. And against businessman Danny Vargas. That's going to be a very tightly contested race. It's already garnering a significant amount of campaign cash. Boysko's raised about $300,000. Vargas has raised about $245,000. So that's going to be a top ticket in terms of money. Then you get the Ramadan seat. You know, Ramadan's kind of unexpected decision to retire has sort of opened this up. John Bell is returning once again. He's already tried to run for the seat a number of times. Perhaps he thinks this perhaps could be his year. Then you've got Michael Futrell, he didn't quite retire. It's just that he lost the primary for the state Senate seat. In fact, it was the state Senate seat we were talking about earlier with the retirement of Chuck Colgan. He was one of the Democrats that lost to Jeremy McPike. So it's not quite that he retired, but he's not returning to the House of Delegates because he lost the primary. Then in that seat, you've got Mark Dudenhofer, who's trying to make a comeback. He actually lost to Futrell in the last campaign cycle. So
a lot of familiar names and some people who are used to going against one another.
Speaking of familiar names, you've got two in this seat that used to be held by Barbara Comstock. When she was elected to Congress, that created a special election in which we saw Kathleen Murphy, the Democrat, versus Craig Parasot. Murphy narrowly won that special election, and now we've got the same two candidates in this race.
You just finished a series on WAMU that looks at car title lending. These are loans that people can tap if they own their car and if they need a little cash, but potentially to bridge a financial need of some kind. Tell us how, before getting into the meat of your series, walk us through just briefly how these work ideally, how these financial arrangements are supposed to play out.
Well, a car title loan is not borrowing money to buy a car. That's perhaps the most important thing. It's people that are in need of quick cash can go to a business like LoanMax or TitleMax. You see these places all over Northern Virginia, and you can hand over the title of your car in exchange for money. So this is, and you don't need to prove that you can pay it back. So it's sort of no job, no credit, no problem situation. The problem, the critics say, is that these businesses charge very high interest rates. What you see is these businesses typically charge more than 200% interest rates annually. And so this has created a lot of criticism because people that take these loans often don't quite realize what they're getting into. They don't realize that the interest is going to be 200%. They don't realize what's going to happen to them if they miss payments. They don't realize that their car might be repossessed. And so in recent years, we've seen a growing trend. The number of cars being repossessed has doubled in the last 3 years, and the number of people missing payments has tripled in the last 3 years. So we're really seeing this industry expanding and hurting people on the margins in a way that we never have before.
With huge and obvious impact, because in terms of folks' ability to get around, I mean, to get to work and back. Now, I mean, some people commute, but one can. It's pretty obvious how someone would be hurt if their car was no longer out there in the driveway waiting for them.
One of the things I really want to do with the series is track down people, real people who have taken these loans. And I talked to about a dozen people. Most of them did not want to talk on the radio. They didn't want their names to be part of this discussion. I was able to get 4 of them to talk on the radio. And they all expressed that concern that you just voiced, which is, without my car, I can't get to my job. I might lose my job. Or, you know, the woman that we interviewed who was on the radio this morning, actually she's unemployed now, so she needs a car to get to the interview so that she can get a job. You know, without that, she might not be able to get a job. And now she feels like she's in a position where she has to hide her car.
In just a couple seconds, what are the circumstances that bring people to these offices typically? Did you find a theme, a common theme?
They need to pay bills, right? They've got, some of these people have medical issues, you know, medical bills they need to pay. Many of them were just looking for cash to pay the rent. So they would go into these places, you know, looking for quick cash. And then this is where the story sort of took a turn that I wasn't quite expecting, which is that in recent years we've seen a trend with these businesses where they're not just offering car title loans. They're offering a totally separate lending product that's regulated separately called consumer finance loans, where they use the title of your car as collateral, but they don't face the same regulations as car title. For example, there's no limit on the amount of interest you can charge if the loan is worth more than $2,500. There's no limit on how long these loans could go on. And perhaps more significantly, the state regulator is not tracking basic information about this stuff, like how many cars they repossess and how many people are missing payments. So this is an operation that is increasingly happening in the shadows.
Do the companies defend their practice, this product that they offer?
I reached out to every lobbyist that lobbies on this issue. None of them returned my calls. I tried to call TitleMax. They said that they did not want to talk. I tried to call Fast Auto Loans. They declined my request to talk. But who is speaking on behalf of these people, though, is lawmakers, many of whom get campaign contributions from this industry, and they think this is the free market, that people should be able to take whatever loans they want to, and they can read these documents, and they know what they're signing up for.
So buyer beware. Just read what you sign before you sign, I guess. Is there.
That's the political debate, yeah.
Michael Pope, reporter for WAMU 88.5. Thanks so much as always. See you next time. Back with the program note after this.